And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great show coming at you today. We're going to talk about what Numbers USA, our protege, Andre Barnes, who was at the event yesterday with President Trump. We're going to talk more about the migrants who say that they don't give a crap about America. They're here for the money. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host. Pastor David. Y'all coming in. Welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And like I said, we got a great show, folks, so y'all want to tune in and share it around. But first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Yahshua, for making it possible for me to be here and those listening. Well, folks, we're going to talk about a couple of things, but the first thing that we're going to talk about is our own protege, Andre Barnes, who was at the inauguration yesterday. We're going to give him his due props with President Trump. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the migrants and why they're here. To the American people and patriots across this country, it is a total disrespect to us as Americans when we have illegals who come to our country and that are so brazen to say that they don't give a shit about America. They don't care about it because our country is just a little bit better than where they're living at. Now, this is out the mouths of a migrant who is so ungrateful and that is here illegally, but they continue to stand as if their own countries was better than ours. So if you ain't got nothing to do, we're going to explore that, and we're going to talk about that. And to the American people and patriots across this country, now we know how they feel about us, and they were brought here by the Democratic Party. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris set us up for failure. So here we go. Let me get my panel in. Hey, Dre, what's up?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Man, there's a celebrity in the house. Hey, Doc, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Good. Now,
good.
Dre, I want you and I was talking yesterday earlier, and you said President Trump was going to be at the White House. So I'm going to throw a picture up first. Now, you can tell us what's going on here. Well, first talk about it. You go and explain to us what you feel.
Yeah. So yesterday, my federal director, Mr. Mike Huff, invited me to a White House event for the Big Beautiful Bill. So I went with him and our CEO, Ann Menendez, and the three of us went there and went through this wonderful ceremony where they were talking about the importance of the bill. They actually brought in regular citizens who actually would benefit from the bill. So you saw people with their construction worker garb on. They had some teachers there, some homeschool moms, some restaurant workers. And it was just a plethora of different Americans that were there that were being celebrated as a result of what was to come from the Big Beautiful Bill and some of the benefits that they would receive and less economic pressure on them due to this bill. So it was exciting to see them walk up and be celebrated. And President Trump actually told some of their stories. Took some time to tell their stories about why they were there, the great things that they were doing, and how the bill would benefit them. And it was wonderful. And the president, as much as he is a great leader, he's also a really funny
Yeah.
comic president. And I was really entertained. The only thing is that I was also trying to get things out on social media. But I'm telling you, like, if I was there, I didn't have my device with me at all, I could have just watched him give this speech, because he doesn't make it boring. And a lot of times when people are talking about bills, different presidents, they talk about different issues, they're so boring. But President Trump really brings it to life. Another thing that was great is that he brought a lot of his cabinet. So I had an opportunity to shake Tom Homan's hand and take a picture with him. I also got to meet Scott Turner and talk with him about some things that were going on in Chicago and how to make a report. So it was good. So I was a working meeting. It's good
Yes.
to experience all the pomp and circumstance and be in the room with all the decorations and be at the White House. But I was working, because this was an opportunity for me to get some space time with people that I usually wouldn't get a FaceTime
What
with.
is that
And
right
I love,
there?
oh, that was me. Of course, I was stepping
Looking
all
good.
the way right. I was
You
stepping
was
all the way right. I got so many compliments about my shoes. And, I
love
put
it.
this picture up. And this hater who hates President Trump, because I love this picture. This picture is iconic.
I'm gonna have
And
to
I
set it
went
up
to
myself.
I went to the White House maybe 4 or 5 months ago with some interns, and they didn't have this painting there. And there was another one that was in the foyer that they didn't have. But I took a picture here and I put it out on social media, and somebody on X was just like, disgusting. And I was like, oh, you don't like my shoes? ... Bummer.
Right.
But I knew they were talking about the fact that I was sitting behind that picture with President Trump. But I, made light of it, because haters are gonna hate. That's what they're gonna do.
Let them get 20 more by summer. I'm just saying.
Now, guys, let me
Absolutely.
say this to you. It's ridiculous that we would even have haters, because after the last 4 years, what we've seen with the Democratic Party and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they actually tried to destroy this country by bringing the illegals here. And to the American people and patriots across this country, we need to be rallying around President Trump and Tom Homan and ICE, who are beginning now to really get our country back on track. Dre, you talked about some numbers that they had shifted back to American workers a couple of shows ago. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So what I was speaking to was the job creation of new jobs. Where are those jobs going to that are being created? For decades, they had been going primarily to immigrants, whether they were legal or illegal, right?
Mhm.
And just between January and May, all the new jobs that have been created during that time have been about 1 million, and all of those jobs have gone to Americans.
See.
And so what's happening is that these deportations have flipped the script, meaning that before, 600,000 new jobs were going to illegal immigrants just last year.
Yes.
Last year. The majority of those jobs were going to immigrants. But now it's flipped, and the majority of jobs are going to Americans. So when we enforce our border policy, when we actually eliminate competition, when we're actually doing these deportations and adding enforcement, we're actually putting Americans in a position where they can win.
And that it's so key, especially with Numbers USA. You guys keep good records. You guys are looking. You're trying to be on the offense. You're trying to educate voters about what Numbers USA and how immigration has continued to affect the Black community. Doc, you down there quiet. What do you think about that?
Well, I like it. I like it, because I want to say, not this past week, but the week before, someone was saying, go out to Home Depot, right? Where a lot of these day laborers are, only because people are still looking for workers, right? But now they can be Americans. So, somebody was like, get your 17-year-old, 18-year-old up off the couch
Yeah.
and tell them to go, because they can actually make cash the same day, just the same way these day laborers were. But you understand English where they didn't,
Well, you know
right?
what? Yep, and that's so true.
Saying,
That's so true because what companies can do now is back in the 70s when I got out of high school in 74, if you didn't have experience, the companies would hire you and teach you how to become a welder, teach you to be an assembler, teach you to drive a forklift. And I think for the American people in the country to prosper again, we need to get back to that. These companies need to get back to say, we already know that our high school students are not well equipped, or they do not understand anything about the industry because they're not being taught that. They removed the trades from the schools, and it was all by design. So companies now that are continuing to look and say, "Hey, let's give our American children a shot," and that's why it's important for us to really close these borders, which President Trump has. And now we need to make sure that these Americans, just like you said, it was 1 million plus on our side now. And that's how it should have been all along. Never should have been the other way. Listen, guys, one of the things that I saw on the internet, I saw it last night. I was on Voice of the People radio with Dan Stramilio last night, man. It was a heck of an interview, man. I was, I'm in bed by about 7:30, so the show didn't start till 9 o'clock.
oh, you was being a bad kid. You was up.
I'm telling you, I didn't get out of there till almost like 11:30, man. So then I'm all hyped up, so I didn't go to sleep. I probably slept about 3 hours, man. Then I was back up at 3, man.
Wow.
But as I was perusing the internet last night while I was on the show, I picked up a video, and I want to play it because these people are in our country, and they are so ungrateful. They're here illegally, and it really pees me off, the fact that you would make comments as if the American people are stupid and their country is better than ours. Then why are you here? Let me find that clip so that we can get this on.
Hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just moved here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes.
Guys.
Oh, I saw that video.
Now,
and I was just like, y'all can go.
Now listen to this. What sense does that make? And to the American people and patriots across this country, this is the attitude that the illegals have in our country, thinking that we're stupid. They said their country's better, but why the hell aren't you there? Why are you here trying to get our money and trying to do what you need to do? See, that right there, that's enough right there. That attitude is enough for me. Never, ever. And I don't know about y'all as a Black citizen in this country. We should never, ever surrender our communities to these people. And I'm glad that Tom Homan is doing what he's doing. Your thoughts, guys?
Really want to say that individual, I really don't think that is a Mexican citizen. Because see, I grew up with people from Mexico, and they had far more respect for being in the United States. And their grandmothers and their grandfathers and their parents taught them how to have respect. See, I grew up alongside these individuals because I grew up in Orange County, California. So that boom that happened before they had amnesty, I was there. And they had respect for our country. And they made sure they got their children naturalized. They made sure they got their citizenship the right way, right? So that person is probably from Honduras or has relatives from some parts of South America, and they don't have any respect for our country, but they've been taught not to. And that was by the last administration. They were told, you have every right to be here. We will roll out the red carpet for you, and you don't have to respect America.
Dre?
I'm glad that Dr. Nichols brought that up, because when I went to Texas and I started talking to some of the residents there and people from different organizations that were talking about the wave during the Biden administration, the first thing that they kept saying was that these people that are coming across the border are different than what we have traditionally seen. And what Dr. Nichols said kind of clears it up for me to understand what were those cultural differences that they were talking about. You know, what kind of, really helped tug on the heartstrings of these people that were coming into the country illegally, but assimilating in the best that they could and trying to get status. That was the goal before. But now what we're seeing is there's this new group that wants to create little Mexico, little Ecuador in their own factioned off communities.
In our communities.
Yeah, and in our communities. And, there's no reverence for the country. There's no respect. So I watched this video, and just like the two of you, I was very offended at first. But now I'm just like saying, thank you. Because a lot of the times when we say that they're coming here for jobs, like nobody wants to believe that. Everybody's just saying, oh, that's just a immigration talking point. That's what the white folks are saying to try to convince people to, not allow people to come into the country. But that's not what it is. That is a motivating factor for some of the people. Economic work. It is a magnet. It draws people across the Panama, those Panama jungles to get here. So I was like, thank you. I was thinking about what you said.
And it's more than just Latin people. I think we need people to realize that it's people from Africa, it's people from China,
Iran,
it's people from the Netherlands.
Yes.
Okay. Look, it's not just people that are Latin.
That's right.
Well, I think it was like well over 200 countries or something that had opened their prisons up and sent all these people to America. Yeah. And see, that's what I'm talking about. The American system and the way of our lives went under attack under the Democratic administration. And the sad thing about it is they openly did it. They didn't hide it. They openly did it. When they removed Title 42 that President Trump had put in place, they took him to court to have it removed. And this is what happened to the American people and patriots across this country. We've seen what happened after that. The borders was open. All of this stuff started happening. The hatred for our country. I don't understand how you could hate a country, but then you want our money.
That's right.
You literally say out of your own mouth, and to the American people and patriots, when we see these people that are in our stores spending our money with the cash cards, you see them living in 5-star hotels off of our tax dollars, and then they have the audacity to create a video like this and tell the American people basically to kiss our butts because we better than y'all. That's what she's saying. Yeah. She's saying we so much better than y'all, we only can, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the money and the taxpayers' dollars. And that's what I think right there is enough to have every American blood to be boiling, because it was our Democratic Party and Rhino Republicans that put our lives in danger. Look at the crime that the illegals have been committing.
Yep.
Brandon Johnson said something the other day. He said, crime is down. It is down in Chicago. That's because all the illegals that was committing crimes are being deported.
Yep.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Right. It ain't because he's a good mayor, because he's a lousy mayor. He's probably the worst of all time. But the fact of the matter is, ICE is doing their job to make sure that they get these people out of here. It was bad enough, and that's the sad part, guys.
Yeah.
They
when
sure
that
don't want to
video
get.
gets further viral, a lot of Hispanic businesses are going to suffer. I just need that person to know that.
Yeah.
People aren't going to go. You know, we have better. Look, as much as people say Taco Bell is not real Mexican food, I bet you they'll get more business now.
Yep.
I'm just saying. People will not spend their money there. And when those businesses start shutting down, when those trucks start shutting down, it'll be like, yeah, we know why you here. Bye. It will be a complete shutdown boycott.
Yeah, and let's also look at the second thing that she was saying about people supporting ICE and supporting like the raids, that they were going to be in a special place in heck. Well, you know, I definitely am in 100% in support with ICE and the raids. We need the enforcement. And at the end of the day, we should not have these videos of people like trying to like fan the flames against ICE should be eliminated. Like they did all these things during the COVID to like restrict people's speech. Right now we see that people are going after them. We're seeing that people are trying to reveal their identities or put their public information out there so people can take aggressive moves against them. And we need to do more to protect them, because they're putting their lives on their line, doing their job already. But to have this additional pressure of having to look over the shoulder of either aggressive Americans or aggressive illegal aliens to try to hurt them, I think we need to put a mechanism in place to protect them as well.
Because I think the ACLU, they're one of the worst ones.
Yeah, they are.
Right?
Yeah, they
actually putting phone numbers together, hotline phone numbers. It's like, well, if you see ICE here, call us. I'm like, what? You're literally trying to aid and abet illegal activity?
Yes, they should be.
While getting government funding, you are a terrorist organization, period.
Yes, you're so correct, Doc, because the ACLU is talking about, see, they took plays out the black playbook of getting civil rights done. That's what they did. And ACLU, the Urban League, NAACP, the National Action Network was sharp than them. They should be on the battlefield right now fighting tooth and nail for the black community to stop this foolishness. But they're not, because they've gotten paid off to be quiet and help usher in these people, considering like they're in the same position as black people. That's no way. Now, this woman just said to our face as American citizens that we wasn't crap and they don't like this country, but they're here to get our money. That right there should be enough. And then I got a clip I'm gonna play. The sad fact is this: they're in the black community and they're asking black people to help them. They're running around telling black people, you should come to my business and buy my food and help us because we need y'all. Well, you didn't need us when ICE first popped out and y'all felt that y'all could have took the country over and y'all was telling black people to sit down and shut up. We got this and we getting money y'all ain't gonna get and blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden you're getting deported, talking about how your family's been split up. Let me say this to you. Oh, Pastor finna let one go. I don't give a shit about people talking about, especially the migrants, talking about how they split up their damn families. Slavery tore men in half. Slavery, our children were sold off to the highest bid. Our women and children was raped. Our families was ripped apart and shipped everywhere. And now you're not even an American citizen, and you over here talking all this crap about how their families being split up. Well, welcome to the real world, Dre.
Right. And they got no deal. There was no deal to give them a plane ticket back to their country and money. So for them, those that stayed and ended up getting deported, and that's on y'all. Y'all had an opportunity to leave.
Yep.
Yeah. But now they don't have an opportunity to come back if they're caught. That's the one thing I like.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and it should be that way.
Stay here. Be bad. and get caught. And the other thing is people need to understand that these ICE raids are not random. They are very specific
Yes.
to people. So when there's somebody else that gets caught up in it, it's because they're illegal too.
Yes.
And they just so happen to be there.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But they are targeting people specifically because they got due process.
Yep.
They were told to leave the country and they refused to leave the country. That's who's getting picked up. So I need people to really understand that part.
Well, if you here and you've been here 20 or 30 years and you know that you're here illegally, then why haven't you taken the steps in the process to become legal? Because see, if you're here illegally, you're going to bring other illegals over and help hide them as well. And that's why some of the guys here in Chicago, when they busted them, they says, well, this guy been here over 20 years and he's been here illegally. He should be allowed to stay. Well, he needed to be deported too.
Yeah, because they're getting money under the table. They're not paying taxes.
Yes.
And then on top of that, because of all this other nonsense going on, they were actually able to apply for benefits. That's the crazy part.
Yes.
That's the crazy part. I'm like, what? Yeah.
And you know, and that too right there is, we're going to talk about that because I got a nice clip we're going to play about what the Supreme Court is doing and some stuff, some action that has happened already with Planned Parenthood. But I want to play another clip right quick and show you. I want to give you the response of what Black people are saying.
Community, we do not. Hispanic community, we do not stand with you. Let me tell you something. If you came into this country illegally, you must go. If we went to Taiwan, if we went to Asia, if we went anywhere in the world, the first thing they're going to ask us for is our passport. The second thing they're going to ask us is how long do we plan to stay. The next thing they're going to ask us is for our email. The next thing they're going to ask us is for the address where we're going. And if we stay a day longer than what we're supposed to stay, they will drag us out. So you coming over here, breaking through the borders, looking for Black people to come turn up and all this kind of stuff. We stand together. No. Y'all looking for Black people to come out to loot, to riot, to tear up. We will not destroy our communities. And this is a message to the Black community. We will not destroy our communities. We need our stores. We don't need our stores looted in. We do not need things being broken in. What do we really have left, y'all? This is a real crazy time in the economy, so it's not really a time to just be rebuilding. People don't have billions of dollars to rebuild things that Hispanics are tearing up. Y'all making it look bad for y'all entire community. Your time of free money, healthcare, free housing have come to an end. I'm sorry that Joe Biden misled y'all. I'm sorry that Kamala sold y'all the American dream. But baby, it has come crashing down and it's time to go. Do not destroy our communities. It is hard enough for people to rebuild now. Get your bags and get to stepping. Go back to your country. You're doing all of this destroying and tearing up and burning cars. At the end of the day, you still have to go. I hope that you don't think this will grant you a legal citizenship, because it won't.
Y'all, your thoughts, guys? That was a good one right there.
Look, I loved all of that. She just laid out the red carpet like it's time to go. Back.
It is.
You need to go. And they were misled. You know.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody remembers this, but you know when Joe Biden was running, how the people had on the T-shirts, the Biden-Harris T-shirts,
yes.
And they were like, "Where did you get these new T-shirts? Where did you get these signs?" People were funding an invasion. We got to remember this happened in London. This happened in Germany. This happened in Norway. This happened in predominantly European countries overseas. And they wanted to bring that here. And this is all a part of the UN replacement migration agenda. This is an agenda. This is not random. This is not organic. This is on purpose.
Dre?
Well, a lot of them are upset because that temporary protected status got reversed and that ended. And that's why people are confused, because they were just like, we came here and we got asylum and we got TPS and now it's reversed and now they have to start changing their plans. Well, the first part of the TPS is temporary. And what has happened with TPS, people whose country experienced a earthquake 10 years ago are still here in our country. So it's
Yeah.
not temporary when we give people
No.
temporary protected status. There have been wars that have been over for 20 years. People are still here in
Yeah.
this country. There are people that overstay their visas. They're still here. So we have to have enforcement, because what has happened because of the lack of enforcement, the line has gotten extremely long. So you're in this situation where people can't get processed because they have been processed. They have people in line up to like 20 or 30 years who have done it the right way. And
Right.
the people that are coming in illegally, they're jumping those people. So it just makes the line even longer. So this is going to reset the problems that we had from the Biden administration and start to clear things out so we can start processing. So along with the legislation, we need to figure out how can we process things more efficiently. But the first thing that we have to do, if we have an efficient process, we have to have an efficient deportation process as well.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that parole in the United States, they overturn that too.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
And the real fact of the matter is, this is why it was so important for Tom Homan them to be able to step in and do what they did. And it was planned before, because, you know, me and Tom met. He was on my show. We became good friends. I actually seen tears run out of his eyes when he saw all the stuff that he's seen at the border, and how children were being stolen and raped and used time and time again to come into the country. This is a horrific. And so to the American people and patriots across this country, we better understand one thing. This is just not like a walk in the park where a few people came over here looking to better their lives. This was a cruel, calculated invasion that was done by the Democratic Party, those rhinos, Catholic Charities, the Red Cross, FEMA, all of these organizations, U.S. Aid, all of them should be disbanded because of what they've done. They were part, and when you saw those Biden-Harris shirts, that was because Catholic Charities were giving them out, celebrating those who came across the country illegally. And I think that
celebrating that money. They were celebrating that money. That's what they were celebrating, because every migrant that they came in, they were getting paid from the government.
Yeah. Because they got, like, I want to say they set aside a little bit over $500 million for that. And then they set aside $12 billion just for the unaccompanied minor aliens.
Well, listen, I got a clip I'm going to play, guys. So check this out.
Me now, Trump administration board czar, Mr. Tom Homan, one of my great heroes. Tom Homan, welcome back to the show. Iranian sleeper cells, Mr. Homan. You've got to do something. I mean, some have been arrested so far. How big a problem is this, and what are your plans to lead ICE to deal with it?
Well, look, we got a lot of work to do. You're exactly right. Which, again, I want you to jump right. We need the big, beautiful bill. We need the funding for more agents. We need the funding for more beds. We need the funding for more transportation. We need the funding for more targeting. So it's imperative, especially right now. So for those on the Hill, I don't care. Removing national security threats, removing public safety threats from this country should be a nonpartisan issue. So get it done. We need the funds to get this done. Well, the good thing is President Trump, we got President Trump in the Oval Office. I can tell you, right after the election, we didn't wait till January. We didn't wait for the inauguration. Right after the election, I got together with a lot of smart folks to say, okay, we got a big problem we're going to deal with right after inauguration on 2 million plus gotaways and all these special interest aliens that were released into the United States. So we started planning for this months ago. So on day one of the administration, we're hitting the ground. That's why President Trump from day one said, we're going to concentrate on national security threats and public safety threats, and that's what we're doing. After the Iran issue this weekend, we just stepped on the gas, adding a lot more resources to it and really hammering it. So we're on it. We're going to do the best we can as fast as we can.
One of your messages then, Tom, this is important because the Senate is coming to a vote. The One Big Beautiful Bill is in part, it's an economic bill, yes, but it's a border security bill, and it's a the criminals bill also. That's a huge part of it. That's what you're saying to us.
Here's what I want to say to them. Under the Biden administration, we have over 2 million known gotaways, captured on video with drone traffic or sensor traffic. 2 million people crossed this border illegally and paid more to get away. They didn't pay less to get a free airline flight to the city of their choice. not get a free hotel room, not get 3 meals a day, not get free medical care. 2 million people paid more not to take advantage of that giveaway program. Why? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. They didn't want to deal with law enforcement at all. Why is that? That just scared the hell out of everybody. It does me. So how many of these 2 million people are significant public safety threats? How many of them came from the country sponsoring terror? Border Patrol arrested over 400 trying to sneak into the country. They arrested them. So you can't think not a single one of these 2 million plus didn't come here to do us harm. So that's the message. This is not an immigration issue as much. It is a national security issue. Secure border is about national security. And secure border is about interior enforcement. If there's no consequences, then the border enforcement is less. This is what the American people need to know. I think they understand. That's why President Trump's in the White House. They elected him on this issue. So every member of Congress, this is the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. I've done this since 1984. Help us. Fund the bill, and let's get this done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great message. Another one, Tom Homan. This new socialist mayor candidate, he hasn't won yet, but he won the Democratic primary, Zorain Mamdani.
Guys, let's talk about that. Tom is fired up. Go ahead, Dre.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Tom was so fired up, and this is the same thing he was saying at the president's event about the big beautiful bill. Like, it's a nonpartisan issue. Let's get the funding that they need so they can secure the border, make sure that we have enough beds for detentions and things of that nature, so we can keep this puppy rolling.
Yeah. But what the sad part is, we've got members of Congress that are siding with the No Kings movement, right? That are siding with abolishing ICE. What are you doing? We need to start taking names of these people. No, seriously.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't. Here's the thing. They can't bring themselves to fund it because they know they created this issue.
Yes.
They created the problem. And then they told the American people for years, there's no problem. What are you talking about? These people are crazy. They're lying to you. And then as soon as Trump gets in office, everybody's like, wow. Oh, I guess I need to walk away from the Democratic Party. Like, they put us in this position. So I can understand why they are not funding it, but playing politics with our lives right now, like literally playing politics with our lives right now, needs to stop.
To the American people and patriots across this country, last night I was on the show I was talking about earlier, the voices of the people. And there was a discussion that a lot of politicians do not know their job description. Because even if you are the worst politician in the world, if you know the responsibilities of your job and what you was doing there, it would be a positive outcome, because all of these positions are made to receive positive outcomes. And the only way that they don't get positive, if you don't do the job description that was created for that position. See, that's the big problem. Even you could be the worst politician in the world, but if you're doing your job, then positive stuff is going to come out. You just got to do your job. You might not like me, or you might not like Dre or Doc, but as an American citizens, we hired you to work for us. You don't work for yourself. You work for the American people. And so if you are not doing your job, then you need to be replaced. And I think that's what we need to do, get the legislation so that we can replace politicians who are not doing the job, like Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson don't have a clue of what to do here in Chicago. He should be removed immediately because it's incompetency. Not that I hate the guy, but he is not doing the job that he was elected to do. And he has turned Chicago into the laughing stock of America and continue to do so. And probably then almost spent $1 billion or more on illegals, like the mayor of Boston, the mayor of Maine, and all of these other mayors who have continued to use taxpayer dollars to help illegals here. Your thought, Doc?
Well, they are doing their job according to the Office of New Americas. They are doing their job according to the United Nations replacement regulation. You know what I'm saying? They are doing their job according to the United Nations sustainability project, right? So it's not that they're not doing their jobs, they're just not doing the job for the American people. That's the difference.
Dre?
I like that Dr. Nichols referred to some of these politicians as playing politics with our lives. That is such a spot on take, because that's exactly what's happening. Each one of these politicians that are just like resist, 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 they're not coming up with any legislation. They're not doing their job. They're not serving their constituents. They're just pushing back against the president. They're just getting these photo ops of getting detained and then released, and trying to martyr themselves into the spotlight. But none of that is helping them. That's just alienating them further from their electorate, and they're going to continue to fall in these elections if they keep those things going. Now, I like what you said too, Pastor Laurie. We do have to hold these elected officials accountable, because what we've seen is that when we don't, we're in a situation where they just do whatever they want. Like they think of themselves as kings. They have a whole entitlement of pointing the finger at Trump and calling him a king, when they've been living off a king, living off the fat of the land, living off of the money that they've been getting from immigration and backdoor deals that they're getting from other countries. Like, no more. Like, all that stuff that they've been doing in the darkness is going to come to the light.
Well, people like Maxine Waters, who has been a part of USAID, it wasn't until that President Trump got in and he cut the money off, and they all went crazy after that. And because now when Doge stepped in, and this is what we saw from them, they was trying to convince the American people that Elon Musk was the worst thing in the world, when actually all he was doing was auditing them and finding out the monies that they've stole. The question is this: Maxine Waters been to Congress for about 100 years, and she wearing the look of 100 years. And what happened in LA? Real talk. Look what happened in LA. They stepped aside and they let the illegals come into LA. They took the black community over. They created businesses of their own, and then they made LA their home, talking about it used to be part of Mexico. See, those type of things, it was right in the black community. So what we're saying to the illegals, and what we're saying is that y'all go home.
But it was a setup. It was a setup, and it was on purpose. And see, the reason why they're freaking out right now is because they're losing their constituent base, right? All those illegals that were here, they were hoping they would stay to keep them in office. They are losing votes. Because, see, they do let them vote at the local level.
They cheat.
In local races, even up to the state level. And even those federal elections that they're not supposed to vote in, they're letting them vote in there because they're giving them driver's licenses. And even in California, you don't have to have any form of ID to show up and vote. People need to realize that in these sanctuary cities, that's why they're fighting so hard for these people. Because the more people there are, they'll garner more seats. Because they, what I'm saying, according to how our census works, the more people you have, the more representation you need. And that's all this is. This is about power. This is not about us.
Well, the Democratic Party is dying. They abused the black people as long as they could. You know what I'm saying? We was talking about reparations last night, and I agree. Black people do need reparations, but we have to keep it 100%. See, in 1865, when Frederick Douglass created the Republican Party, the Republicans allowed the blacks to create their own communities, run their own politicians, open their own businesses. And so the black community was thriving. Behind the scenes, it was more blacks in the Continental Congress, if y'all remember that, than it was white politicians. And so they set the tone for what Congress is about. And it's a shame George Washington was not the first president.
No, he was not. No.
See, people don't understand that, but the history would tell you that. But behind the scenes, it was a black first president in the United States that was picked by the Continental Congress, which was predominantly black. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it has been the Democratic Party who has destroyed the black community. And they're the ones who we need reparations from. Because when you talk about the Black Wall Street, where it was the most economically sound community in America, it was a black community. Rosewood in Rosewood, Florida, places all across the United States. Black people was raising up because they had their own economics. And then when the Democrats felt that they needed something, they created the Ku Klux Klan to destroy the black community, to intimidate them, to kill them, and do all sorts of underhanded stuff to destroy the economic engine because of the black dollar was so powerful. And we can see the effects of it today. It hasn't stopped. Not only did they destroy Black Wall Street, and that's why I say the Ku Klux Klan destroyed the black economic engine, and the Ku Klux Klan was created by the Democratic Party. Therefore, the Democratic Party is responsible for us not having the economical and generational wealth that could have been spread to our children and to our cities that we created. Then that's who need to pay the reparations. Your thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, they won't. But what they could do is be forced to put forward the legislation. Does that make sense? Like, actually, okay, you guys are responsible for this, so you need to put forth the legislation for it and make sure that it gets passed. Like, this is your task, this is your job to get us restored.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in a full agreement with Dr. Nichols. I think that we need to consider the legislation and put it in place so that it can be passed, and work with professionals to determine what these reparations need to look like. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of pretenders out there that are kind of like soiling the argument because they're asking for weird things. Mm-hmm. And I think that once we get the professionals out front that have really been doing this, really invested themselves, really organized themselves, have a code of conduct, in their organization, like, I think that those things matter. And if we start bringing some of those people to the forefront, then we'll be able to have real discussions that may get passed.
Well, one thing I can say is this, and I was talking about it last night. We have too many professional people. We have too many billionaire blacks. We have billionaire pastors. We have billionaire elected officials. Then why is the black community in this condition? See,
because they're not black Americans, some of them.
Yep.
Just because your skin is black doesn't mean you're American.
That's right.
Yeah.
But separate the wheat from the chaff.
Doc fired up, and she makes
Just saying.
But the point that I'm making is, to our black athletes and all the rich black people in this country, it's not your responsibility. But if you're going to pass down something for your children, because your children are going to be affected too, then you should be fighting for the welfare of all people in the black community. There should have been a form of investments, even from the rappers who came from the dirt, the Snoop Dogg's and all of them, Dr. Dre's and all of them. They should have gotten together and started conforming, saying, let us put some banks together. Let us create manufacturing firms and put them in the black community. The black doctors, all these rich black people. Why is the black community in this condition when these black people who have got rich off black folks? And when you say that, well, I went to college on my own. No, you didn't, because their forefathers, the people who stood up, made it to where you could go to college. Because if they hadn't have been on there, if they hadn't have stood up and fought for you, there wouldn't be no Harvard. Even though Harvard and all the rest of the black schools, Howard and all the rest of the black schools were created for the bastard children of the slave owners. That's why all these black HBCUs was created. They wasn't created for the average black person. It might have comprised of that later down the road, but then they got brainwashed because they don't think that they're black, because if they was, they would be in the black community fighting like hell to help stop the crime and to help bring economics, to help stop the hatred and stuff. They would be contributing what they've learned from these colleges and help rebuild the Black community, but we don't see that at all. We see a separation. As soon as they get a few dollars, they run out there in the white neighborhood, and then they'll rather have crosses burned in their yards than coming back to the Black community to help rebuild it. Your thoughts on that, guys, while I get another clip put up.
Well, when you're taught to hate yourself, you will ultimately destroy yourself. Okay. And that's what they are taught. They are not taught to love themselves and love others. They are taught to hate themselves and hate the people that look like them. And when they get separated from them, or they have the opportunity to separate, right? So they are the true house Negroes, and that's what they've been taught to be. Period. That's where it is. That's why you don't see, okay, let's actually help one another. And then when we do try to help one another, because we have the field Negro mentality, we don't get anywhere. Like, let's keep that 100. Like, that's where we're at.
Jay?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with Dr. Nichols. And I'll add one thing. I think another thing that we don't do is what happens is a lot of these Black billionaires, Black athletes, they get to a point where they get so high up that they're not willing to take any advice from people in the community to figure out what's needed. There are some that will. Like when I went to Johnson C. Smith, Pastor Lowery put me in contact with some former NFL players. And I can tell you one thing, they were willing to listen to me and another gentleman that I had with me, Naheem Way, about what we thought were problems in the community. And it's like, we're not networking with each other anymore. It's just like, once we've made it, who cares about everybody else? I'm just gonna mind my business and just keep stacking my paper. As long as my paper is stacked, my 4 and no more, I'm all good, you know. But like, we can't think like that, because there's so much that needs to be built, and who knows how long it will take for us to get like reparations, if that ever happens. So you know, we might have to do it ourselves, but we do need policies in place to help us do it, because if we do it, we want it to get burned down again. Like, we have to have some protections. And like, we talked about like crime bills that are needed. We've talked about immigration policies that need to be updated. And we really need to consider all that things, but we have to start with our own communities and start working together.
And that's the point that I was making, because when we was growing up, you had all the great athletes, Muhammad Ali, Arthur Ashe, Joe Frazier. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. You had all of these, Dominique Wilkins. You had all of these Black athletes who invested into the Black community, whether they was building businesses or whatever the case may be. You had real pastors back in those days who were fighting for the communities, that they could put money into their hands, and they start building the communities up around in these parishioners around their churches. But see, what happened is this: when the Black athletes started to trust some of the pastors, a lot of the pastors just took the money and put it in their pocket, and then the athletes didn't see no improvements in the community, so they got to a place where they just stopped giving. They quit fighting to build, because now you got men of God who's supposed to be the leaders in the community to help the community. Now they're just jackleg preachers who are getting the money, like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and the list goes on. And they're getting the money and putting it in their pocket and not giving a crap about the Black community. And this is the result of it: the crime, our children uneducated. Those organizations that were supposed to have been there to make sure that civil rights were given to people in this country, especially Black people, to prosper. And they did not do anything but get rich off of us. And now you don't even hear from them. You don't hear Al Sharpton saying nothing about the illegals and all the money that's spent. You don't hear Jesse saying nothing. As a matter of fact, he was saying the other day they was fighting for DEI, and they had Jamal Bryant jumping around with his tight clothes on, you know, and all that other kind of crap, man. But I got a clip I want to play before we get out of here, because the Supreme Court is about to go on vacation. And there is some important cases that they're going to root on. Let me grab this video. Guys, what y'all think about that?
Avoiding the 14th Amendment. They do not want to mess with that hot potato. They are not trying to deal with that.
They're gonna wait until they get back
Everybody
from
will be
vacation.
fired if they don't do that right.
Well, the
If they
Supreme
don't
Court
get
is
that
set
right,
to issue the
everybody's fired.
final
Everybody.
rulings of its 9-month term today, including a big decision about judicial power and nationwide injunctions. That decision could impact the Trump administration's plans to end birthright citizenship. Yesterday, the High Court ruled South Carolina can cut off Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood, opening the door for Republican-led states to take similar action. CBS News national correspondent Jan Crawford is live at the Supreme Court now. Jan, good morning. Do we have any sense of how the justices are leaning in the birthright citizenship case, and what kind of ripple effects could that ruling have?
You know, it's always difficult to predict how the justices are going to rule, and they can certainly change their minds. But I think based on their questions and oral arguments, it seems clear that they are prepared to really rein in the use of these nationwide injunctions, which has exploded dramatically really since 2015. And we've had presidents from both parties. This is a bipartisan issue. Do not like these kind of broad orders that apply to everyone in the country, because it can really stymie what a president wants to do. President Biden, for example, on immigration, on vaccine mandates, student loan debt relief, all of those things, judges in Texas were entering these nationwide injunctions, blocking them. And now, under President Trump, we have judges in some of the blue states entering the nationwide injunctions, blocking some of his executive orders. And one in this case, as you mentioned, is about birthright citizenship. And judges in that case issued these broad rulings that applied well beyond the parties who were before the court, which is typically how it works, and applied.
Now, folks, I want to stop it right there. Let's talk about the 14th Amendment, okay? The 14th Amendment is an immigration naturalization bill. It was created for Black people so that they could become natural citizens in this country. It never had nothing to do with if you were illegal and you came over here and you popped the weasel on your wife to have a kid, then that made you legally here. There is no such thing as birthright immigration. No such thing. It was created by the Democratic Party to continue to try to build up their party with illegals coming to the country. It's always been that way. Your thoughts on that, Doc?
Yeah, well, it came out of a citizenship case, right, where an individual who had two Chinese parents who were not naturalized in this country, he left, went to China, came back, and they tried to deny him entry. Well, they were saying because he was born on American soil, that he was allowed to be a citizen. However, they were contradicting the Constitution because there is a naturalization clause in the Constitution that does clearly state that one parent at least has to be a naturalized citizen, and that states do not have the right to willy-nilly change immigration laws, which happened in San Francisco. So that's what the Democrats are hanging their hat on, right? And they keep they're using that just like they used Roe v. Wade for abortion. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court has to rule on this, and they have to rule on it correctly. Because if they go actually according to the Constitution, then they have to outline that the 14th Amendment does belong to slaves, because it was put in place so that me and you and Andre could be citizens according to the Constitution. And then people that got naturalized, their children then have the afforded right to be naturalized citizens of this country. Because if they go backwards and they do not acknowledge that, then they are truly going to open up a can of worms and just mess it up for everyone. So they have to get this right. They don't want to, because if they do it, they're going to nullify everything that they've been standing on illegal immigration.
Dre?
Yes, and there's been a lot of muddied legal waters, like Dr. Nichols has said, and I don't think it's going to stand the way that they have it. I think the judges will make the right ruling. Mm-hmm. I think that there's been a lot of controversy around this, but I think it's going to come out that they're going to rule on this the right way. Now, I did get reporting that they eliminated states' ability to give a nationwide injunction. So that's not happening.
Yes, they did.
So as a result, that means that President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship should stand
Yes, yeah.
until
Exactly.
the Supreme Court makes a ruling. So they will make a ruling soon.
Well,
so,
Yep. Well, let me play a little bit more of this, and they'll give us an idea what they think.
Everyone all over the country. And so that's the issue, the power of judges. And I suspect that Trump will win this case. But that doesn't mean that this executive order will ever take effect. What it means is the court will find some kind of way to send a message to the lower courts that they've gone too far and they need to step back and issue this only in certain circumstances. For example, when people, perhaps in this case, I think, file a class action, that could apply nationwide. So there are some cases where it would be appropriate, but the judges, I think the court will say, really need to step back and rein some of those things in. And that will, like you said, affect many of President Trump's other cases that are in the lower courts where he's now facing at least 40, maybe 50 of these nationwide injunctions. It'll scale some of those back, too.
And Jan, we also mentioned
it may not have much of an impact.
Sure. And Jan, we also mentioned that the court ruled states can cut funding to Planned Parenthood. What kind of fallout could we see from that?
You know, that was not a case about abortion or about Planned Parenthood's status as an abortion provider. It was a fight over Republican efforts to defund it from Medicaid. And we saw this case come from South Carolina. So I think because the court in that 6-3 decision said that the Medicaid Act doesn't give people the right to sue to get the specific provider of their choice, that will mean that these red states can essentially say, Planned Parenthood, you're not going to get any more of this Medicaid funding. In South Carolina, the year before this case was filed, that was about $84,000 that went to Planned Parenthood. So it will have some significance in terms of the bottom line for Planned Parenthood in some of these conservative states, I believe.
All right, Jan Crawford, big day at the Supreme Court. Thanks for your reporting.
Now, folks, let's talk about that. Planned Parenthood should be defunded. And it needs to be defunded when it comes to allowing people to get sex change operations, to get cosmetic surgery, if it's not mandated by the doctor. See, that's why we had so many gays that joined the military, because under the Biden administration, they were able to go get sex change operations like it was all planned in to join the army, and it's not. See, that's why I say, even in this case, Planned Parenthood need to be disbanded because they're supposed to be providing health care. Abortions and illegal adoptions, that's what they're doing. Planned Parenthood is also advising your children that they should be transgenders. That's another thing that's falling under Planned Parenthood, that they're using taxpayer dollars to tell your children that they can have sex change operations. They're counseling them to do so. And so Planned Parenthood needs to be scaled back to where they're just providing real health care and not all these extra cosmetic stuff that are confusing our young people and causing Medicaid to go out the roof. And also, with the Medicaid, they need to get all the illegals off Medicaid because they're getting Medicaid, they're getting Social Security, they got these fake Social Security numbers and fake IDs. I mean, they're robbing the taxpayer blind, just like the lady said earlier. Now, the American people are damn fools. We're not here because we love the country. We are here to make money off of it. Dre, what's your thoughts?
Well, I have a stat for you. 40% of abortions come from Black Americans. Okay, so our communities are targeted with this.
Yes.
And there definitely needs to be more education, but I can see why some of the southern states would want to eliminate their funding so they can't just promote and wreak havoc in these neighborhoods.
Yeah. And I really think that Planned Parenthood has been used as an arm of the Democratic Party, right?
Yes.
Because they've been given the funding, but they also fund a lot of these politicians on the back end. I'm just saying. So it's also, it's like a money funneling operation, because with those abortions, they do sell the body parts, right?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
that extra money actually does go to fund these politicians. So it's disgusting how the Democratic Party has, latched itself onto this particular organization, which was also part of the No Kings movement. I want to put that out there. They funded No Kings.
Yep.
So they're funding illegal immigration. They are funding the depopulation of the Black community specifically, right? And they're also funding these politicians to make it happen. It's disgusting. They need to be completely disbanded, just like the ACLU and any other organization that supported No Kings. Bernie was on that list. I mean, there were so many organizations. Walmart, they were funding the No Kings movement. They need to be deemed as terrorist organizations. I know Walmart doesn't want to be deemed a terrorist organization, but you are at the end of the day, and you're using taxpayer dollars to do it.
Well, that was one of the things that Larry Hoover, and that's the reason why Larry Hoover was locked up and given 6 life sentences. When they said that he ran a drug conglomerate from prison, that was a lie. What Larry did was complain about Planned Parenthood moving into the Black community, giving away abortions like McDonald's was giving away burgers. They're on almost in every corner in the Black community. And Dre, 40% equalized to almost 60 million abortions in the Black community since Roe versus Wade. And it hasn't stopped. Not only do they sell the fetuses, they're selling all sorts of tissue. They're taking those fetuses apart and selling them in the open market. So Planned Parenthood is a detriment to the Black community, not because it is not providing, it's providing small health care to cover the big picture of who they are. And it was Margaret Sanger who said, we got to get rid of these niggas. They are producing too fast. And that's when Planned Parenthood was brought to the forefront. You see, a lot of Americans, especially Blacks, don't know this because you haven't researched. Planned Parenthood was planned to be in the Black community to make sure that the Black family structure dies by aborting, breaking up families, adding transgenders into it, taking power away from the parents. All of this is part of Planned Parenthood history, was to dilute and destroy the Black community, which was created by Margaret Sanger, and they have done a hell of a job at helping destroy the Black community. Your thoughts on that, Dre?
Well, I'm just gonna say ditto to what you just said there, because you're right. There has been an issue in our community around abortions and around the funding around it, around the promoting of it. And a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about it, but at the core, it's destroying our community. So we really need to reevaluate our support of it as a community. And there are other ways, like I listened to this guy, Devory Darkins. His parents were drug addicts, and they put him up for adoption. And now he has a good life. He's married, has a kid. He has a huge podcast on this awesome station. So, there are other ways to deal with an unplanned pregnancy.
Dre, I know you got to get out of here. Your last words so we can get you out.
Yeah, well, I think it's time for us to really focus on the policies. What we've seen is people are complaining about the fear that has been drummed up by the Trump administration through the deportations and ICE coming in and detaining and arresting and deporting people. But at the same time, we have to have enforcement. A lot of people feel entitled to be in the United States because they've been here for decades illegally. There was a college student who was pulled over and she was released, and then ICE found her and they ended up deporting her, but they kept apologizing to her because they were just like, well, our hands are tied. We have to send you back. Well, she overstayed her visa, her time, her visa. Right. And it had been for a decade. It had been for a decade. So what was she doing? And her family owned a business and they were here illegally too. So, you know, there's a lot of problems with the enforcement side. If we start to get the enforcement right, we'll be able to shorten the length of these lines so that people that can come here and do it the right way will do it. And the people that don't come the right way, they won't be able to get here because they won't be able to get jobs, benefits, and things of that nature. So I hope that people take a look at these policies through numbersusa.com and other organizations that have been in this immigration fight. And no politician or organization that doesn't have immigration as a part of their platform, they are not a serious candidate.
Blessings to you, brother.
Thank you.
Godspeed what you got to the rest of your day. Doc, give me
Yeah,
your
well,
thoughts on this Planned Parenthood thing.
Yeah, well, it's sad, you know, and to your point, they are selling body parts, right, of, you know, our people in particular, because we, how should I say, the melanin in our skin is very valuable. And people have found that out, and they actually pay more top dollar for Black babies because of that, and even our organs. So it's extremely, it's hurtful, but on top of that, it's disgusting because the Democratic Party really support and push it, especially for Black women, saying, you know, you'll have a better life if you kill your baby. And I'm saying it that way. I'm not calling this healthcare, because that's what they call it. They call it care. It's not, there's no care in it. It's a death cult. And they specifically target our community, and at the same time want us to vote for it and champion it. It's like, no, stop that.
Exactly.
Stop that. And I definitely wanted to touch on what, you know, Dre was saying about the illegal immigration and, you know, how that person was here and they overstayed and their family overstayed. That comes down to local policies. So we have local politicians actually supporting illegal activity. And that's where the federal government needs to step in and say no more, and make it known, and make examples of these people, right? The politicians, and people need to start getting arrested for protecting illegal activity and aiding and abetting illegal. 10 years, and your family owns a business for 10 years. That means there was a loan given illegally. That means the politicians gave them a business license and they knew they were here illegally, and they protected them. So those are the people that need to be in federal prison. Like I'm saying, 20 years, no parole, done. Done. That's my mantra.
Well, I know you got to go on vacation here. Enjoy yourself, man. It's great to always have you as a guest on the show. Our new network is almost done. I think we're going to launch in about 10 days now. So we've been saying it, but it's happening now. Blessings to you, Godspeed, and safe travels.
Thank you.
Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. Our mission with Let the Truth Be Told is to bring information to the American people and patriots across this country. There's other shows like ours who tell the truth, like Voices of the People with Dan Cirillo. I mean, our show, Doc has a show. Andre is going to have a show on our new network. And if you're a show out there and you want to be able to have your podcast on our network, you can call us at 708-663-5262. Again, that's 708-663-5262. These are my last words. To the American people and patriots across this country was built on In God We Trust. It has been a situation for us here in America that we've allowed a rogue government to tell us that we can no longer trust God. When they took prayer out the schools, but yet they let homosexuality, they let Satanism, homosexuality, and all sorts of pedophilia into the schools and our children, because they know they couldn't poison the older generation, but they wanted to destroy the young generation for the future. So I'm telling the people across this country, and to the American people and patriots across this country, let us stand up for the rights that the Constitution has given us. Let us stay close to the Constitution and follow the instruction, because our forefathers had a good idea when they created it. If we follow the Constitution and don't skew the laws, then the American people will rise up, and this company called the United States of America will be great again. I want to thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.